Hello, my name is Michael, and today I'll be showing you how to make an internal cut on the scroll saw. I'll be using this scrap pine to be showing you all. First, before we start, make sure you remember the basic procedures for safety. Make sure your glasses are on your face and not your head. Have your hoodie laces or necklaces in your shirt. Have your rings or watches off of your body. And if you have long hair, make sure you tie it up. I know you were itching to get started, but before a piece of wood even touches the machine, we need to use Feudal. F is for the face of your board or your pretty side of your board. E is for the edge of your board. Use the combination square to find your unsquare side. And use the jointer to cut your board. W is the width or the other side of your edge. T is the thickness or the uglier side of your board that you can cut because you've made the face square. E is the end. Again, use a combo square to find your unsquare end and then put it into the sliding compound miter saw. And L is the length, basically the other end of your board, which you can cut to your desired length. Feudal makes your board square, so your cuts aren't wonky and your design isn't lopsided. This is a drill press. You can cut various holes using bits and other multi-spurs. Once you've applied Feudal, you can now create a relief hole, so you can cut from the inside and out of your board. From your inventory of bits, grab any sized brad pit and attach it to your drill press. That leads us to the chuck. The chuck is so you can fit your drill bit into the drill press. Make sure this is not exposed and not much of this. Probably have it around here for each part of your drill bit. Now that you have your drill bit inside of the spindle, that's what this is called, we now first start spinning the chuck right so it tightens the entry point for your drill bit until it's about snug. Once you have the drill bit snug inside of the spindle or the drill bit entry hole, you're going to need to use the chuck key in order to make sure it's fully tight. See the holes in the sides here? This is part of the spindle, which is where we insert the chuck key in order to make it tight. Make sure you spin it in a forward motion to try to make sure it's fully in there tight. Wait, before you turn on the drill press, make sure you hold or use the clamps on your board so it doesn't fly off when the drill press is working. This also depends on what size of board you're using and what drill bit. For example, let's say you're using Forstner bit, you for sure want to have your clamps on. If you're using a drill about this size, you have this big of a board, probably use your hand, but since I'm a wimp, I'm going to be using these clamps. Just twist, lefty loosey, righty tighty on both sides. So again, you don't just have in place there, because what's the point of that? Alright, now usually the on and off button can either be on the side or in the middle. So let's just turn this on. Once the drill press is on like this, you'll want to slowly pull down the lever. And you want to go in short bursts of up and down. So in and then back out. You do this so the drill doesn't get caught in your wood or tears it. And then once you have the hole, you slowly pull the drill out. The brad point drill bit, and you turn off your machine. Once you have turned off the drill press and you have made a relief hole, you can now take off your clamps, and always make sure you take the drill bit out of the machine after you're done using it. So you're gonna have to go grab the chuck key once more. Again, quick reminder, this is what it looks like. You put the knob in on the side of the hole, and twist it any way you want, and then you push it towards you, or you push outwards, depending on how the holes are aligned. And now you put this back in its designated spot. Finally, once you've made your relief hole and turn off your drill press, you can now work on using the scroll saw to make your internal cut. This is a scroll saw. You can make so many different kinds of design cuts, like circular, straight, you name it. If you don't have a blade inside of your scroll saw, let's do that first. Make sure when putting your blade into your scroll saw that the lower teeth are facing upward and the upper teeth are facing downward, and the blade is facing towards you. If you look underneath your scroll saw, you will see the table scale to tilt your table for when you make cuts. Above that, you will see the blade holder, which is the lower blade holder, which is where you want to put your blade in, obviously. Okay, so now you put your blade through the top of the hole and down to the bottom side.
You don't know about that yet.
And you put the blade into the blade holder, like so, and you twist it in nice and snug. Now we go back up to the top. Now that you have the blade inserted to your bottom blade holder, make sure you have the top like so. And we're now going to put our board, or the relief hole of our board, into the blade. Well, insert it through the blade. But first, go over here. This is the scroll saw upper arm, which can be lifted up and down, up and down. So we're going to lift this up and put this board through, so we can obviously insert the blade. Because how are we supposed to put it in if there's no entry point? So let's lift our arm now, insert our board, and put it through the blade, like so. Make sure when you push this down, the blade doesn't come crashing into the blade holder. You don't want that. So push it to the side and rest it there. Now that you have your board inside of your blade, like so, you're going to put the blade into the upper blade holder. Now, the upper blade holder is a lot like the bottom one, as you can see, right here. But the top isn't much of a nut or a screw, it's more of a lever. So, to tighten it, we go this way, outward, like so. To loosen, we go back, back, forward, forward, back, like so. You want to make sure that your blade's actually inside of your blade holder by going like this to test. Seems pretty sturdy. Now it's going to move on to tightening the tension. This is the tension lever, which you can twist. I recommend putting it at 5 so the blade doesn't snap, or if there's too much tension on the blade, it doesn't, explode. Not actually, but overstatement. So we're gonna twist this straight to 5, around that. Now your blade should be completely tensionized and should not wobble whatsoever. Maybe just by a little bit like that. But it should be pretty snug in there, like so. This is a speed control dial, which we can twist as shown to 5. So it isn't too fast, it isn't too crazy, but also isn't too slow where our blade doesn't really cut. Always make sure your fingers are at least 2 fingers away. Do a rough estimate from the blade to here. The blade holder is to 1, protect your hand, and 2, make sure that the board doesn't go flying around. Again, you also make sure while you are operating this machinery that your hands are firmly on the board, keeping it firmly on the table, not just over here doing absolutely nothing. You want it to be on your board, focused, and pressured onto the table. So then, if the blade does get caught, it doesn't fling your board. Which is also why there is a blade holder, which is, again, this little metal wire here. Make sure your blade isn't touching any part of your wood right now. Again, while you are operating this machine and it is on, make sure your hand is firm on the board like so. And go down here to the reset button, or the button that actually gives you permission to turn on the machine. So you press that, and now you turn on your machine. Like so. Alright, now that you have your board going, again, firm grip. And quick tip, the blade is not moving, the board is. So make sure you are guiding the board into the blade like so. Now, I'm just going to go scribble around and make some random designs, but you can make any design you'd like. Also, make sure you're turning the board. Don't think about anything but the blade. You're just pushing the board into the blade and making the design you'd like. So right now, I'm just making one gigantic semicircle, kind of. And you twist the board around to make turns. Make sure you go at a moderate to slow pace so you don't tear or catch the wood on the blade. Like so. Now this circle is really bad, but whatever. So now that I cut that circle, I'm gonna make a few more, and then I'll be back with you. You guide your board into the blade. And by turning it, you just twist your board. You can make semi-hard turns. Don't make them too complex, or else the blade will snap or bend, which you don't want. And that can make incorrect or inaccurate cuts. And it can also ruin your board and ruin the blade. So like so. And also, if this happens, you're lucky, you can pick the wood out. And if you can't, then after you're done cutting, you can turn off your machine, obviously. Take the blade out of the blade holder, lift up the arm, take this out, and then scrap apart the rest of, well, these. So I'm gonna keep on cutting. And here's a cool little attachment if you do have this. Probably wondering, what does this do? You probably saw it in the background. This is a air blower. So see all the sawdust? Usually you have to manually blow it like this. But instead, you can also use the air blower. So while I have this on, I will show you. Put it like anywhere you want. You can have it really close, you can have it really far, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, depending on the pressure, but turn this back on. And let me set this up. That's about right. And it blows away the sawdust for you. It's such a sweet mechanism. I do use it here and there. Once you're done your design, which mine kind of looks like a half-dirty snowman, we're going to obviously turn off your machine. And then don't turn your tension off before you take this out, because if you do that, then the blade will bend like so, and that's not good, because then that might snap. Anyways, we twist this, what I said, overhand tightens, underhand loosens. So we loosen it, which it already is loosened. We take the blade out, put it to the side here. And I'm going to put you guys over here while I lift up the arm. And take my blade out of, well, take my board out of the blade. Also, make sure when you do this, you put the blade to the side so it doesn't go into the scroll saw blade holder. Also, once you take your blade out, you can release the tension so it isn't as tight for next time and you can't put this in. So I'll try and show this to you if it's on full tension. It's going to be really difficult to get that blade in there, as you can see. If you release the tension a little bit, then look how much more room there is for your blade. And there you have it. Now you can make internal cuts on the scroll saw, and you can use the drill press. So I guess I taught you two things in one video. And I also kind of described feudal, but not very in detail. I can do that next time if you'd like, which is next year. So anyways, now you have it. This is your scroll saw project, and now it looks like a deformed snowman.